cold, misty evening on the island of Sodor. The fog clung to the rails like a heavy shroud, muffling the sounds of the bustling railway. The days were growing shorter, and with Halloween just around the corner, a sense of eerie anticipation filled the air. At Tidmouth Sheds, the engines were talking about all the strange occurrences that had been happening all week. Gordon, out of all of them, was particularly on edge. "There's been claims of a ghost engine sighted in the fog," he grumbled. "Some say it streaks through the mists without a sound, like a shadow in the night, or even a streak in the fog." Thomas and Percy exchanged nervous glances. "A ghost engine?" Percy squeaked. "I hope it's not coming for us." "Pah!" snorted James. "It's probably just another one of Edward's ghost stories that Gordon overheard him telling to those little yellow mites from the clay pits." Just then, a soft but powerful whistle echoed through the air around the sheds, shattering the eerie silence. The engines looked up to see a sleek, green figure appear, its shape barely visible in the thickening fog. It was Osprey, one of Spencer's sisters from the mainland, known for her speed and her grace. She had been loaned out to the Northwestern Railway to help with fast mixed traffic runs, while the railway's primary engine, Henry, was having work done on his boiler. The fog swirled around her, giving her an almost ethereal glow. "Good evening, everyone," Osprey said, her voice calm and steady. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation." "Osprey! Oh, thank goodness it's you!" Gordon exclaimed. "Perhaps you've seen it." "Seen what?" asked Osprey. The ghost engine," answered Percy nervously. "They call it the streak in the fog. According to Gordon, some witnesses say it haunts the rails on nights like this." "What ghost engine, she quizzed. Gordon puffed himself up, looking both annoyed and unnerved. "It's said to be a silver streak from the old days of the Sodoran mainland. Faster than the wind, quieter than the night. Those who say it has no number and no expression on its face, only a cold, glowing light where its lamp used to be," he explained. "They say it appears without warning, rushing past like a ghostly gale, and then vanishes into the fog. No one knows where it comes from or where it's going." Osprey smiled faintly. "That is an interesting story, dear cousin, but I don't believe in ghosts." "Oh, what do you believe then?" asked Gordon. "I do believe, however, there is something unusual about the fog tonight," answered Osprey. The engines fell silent as her words hung in the air. It was true that the fog seemed thicker than usual, almost at an unnatural level. The sky above was dark, with no moonlight to pierce through the clouds. Soon Sir Topham Hatt arrived at the sheds with news for Osprey. "Yeah, Osprey, I'm glad I caught you," he smiled. "What's going on, sir?" she asked. "I need you to collect a freight train from Netford's goods yard and take it to Barrow tonight," he began. "It's loaded with supplies needed for a building project in Cardiff. A diesel from the mainland will be waiting for you there to take the train onward." "You can count on me, sir," smiled Osprey. "I'll make sure that the train is delivered swiftly yet safely." "There's a good engine, but keep your wits about you as well. The fog has ways of playing tricks on even my most observant engines if they're not careful," Sir Topham Hatt warned, eyeing the sheds. He then turned on his heel and walked back to his car, leaving the engines for the night. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye out for your ghost engine," Osprey said with a hint of playfulness in her voice. But deep down, even she felt a strange chill as she prepared to journey out into the fog. "Best of luck out there," whispered Gordon. Osprey made her way to Netford's goods yard, her dark green livery gleaming faintly under the flickering gas lamps. The fog seemed to thicken with each passing moment, swallowing the yard in a pale, ghostly haze. The train was already prepared. A long line of open wagons, vans, and flatbeds loaded with construction materials. Her driver and fireman made the final adjustments to her headlamps. Their faces were tense, but determined. "Ready when you are, Osprey," her driver called. She gave a short but confident whistle and set off into the night. The rails ahead disappeared into the mist, and the familiar sounds of the countryside were swallowed up by the heavy air. Osprey kept her speed steady, her powerful wheels gliding effortlessly over the damp rails and her headlights shining brightly. But as she began to climb up Gordon's Hill, a strange feeling washed over her, a sensation as though she were being watched. "Oh, did you hear that?" Her fireman asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Hear what?" replied the driver, her eyes fixed on the fog ahead. It sounded like a whistle, but it wasn't ours," the fireman said, shivering slightly. Osprey's boiler bumbled uneasily. She hadn't heard anything, but the atmosphere around her felt oppressive, as if the fog itself were alive. She shook off the feeling and pressed on, determined to deliver her train on time. As she rounded a bend near a stretch of lonely countryside, a strange glow appeared in the distance. It was faint at first, a pale blue light hovering just above the rails. Then, with a piercing, unearthly whistle, a shape emerged from the fog. A spectral engine, its shimmering, translucent form streaking toward her like a phantom. Osprey's lamps illuminated the ghostly figure as it drew closer. It was an old engine, its design unfamiliar, and its one pristine silver livery filthy with rust, with an equally filthy tender trailing behind. Its face was eerily expressionless, and its wheels spun soundlessly over the rails. "Osprey, slow down!" her driver shouted, yanking the brake lever. Osprey's brakes screeched as she ground to a halt, her train clanking to a stop behind her. The spectral engine sped past, its haunting whistle echoing into the night, and vanished into the fog as suddenly as it had appeared. What was that?" Osprey gasped, her voice trembling for the first time that night. I don't know," her driver replied, her face pale, "but it wasn't natural." For a moment the crew sat in stunned silence, the only sounds being the hiss of Osprey's steam and the faint rustle of the trees in the fog. Then, as if on cue, the rails beneath them began to tremble. A lone, mournful whistle echoed from behind, growing louder with each passing second. "Yoicks! It's coming back!" the fireman shouted. Before Osprey could react, the spectral engine reappeared, this time behind her train. It slowed as it approached, as if inspecting her and her cargo. The glow from its ethereal body cast strange shadows over the foggy landscape. Osprey's crew could only watch in awe and fear as the ghostly engine lingered for a moment, then whistled mournfully and disappeared into the night. Osprey remained still, her wheels locked in place and her mind racing. I have to finish this job," she said finally, her voice steadier than she felt. "Whatever that thing is, I can't let it stop me." Her crew exchanged uneasy glances but nodded. "Right, let's get moving before it comes back," the driver said. Osprey set off again, cautious but determined. The rest of the journey was eerily silent, the fog pressing in closer than ever, but the spectral engine did not return. And Osprey reached Barrow-in-Furness without further incident. The diesel, known to many by the name of Bowler, was waiting at the platform. As soon as he heard Osprey's whistle, he gave her an odd look as he arrived.
Long night, I take it?
Bowler asked, his tone sarcastic. You have no idea, Osprey muttered, too tired to explain.
Typical of you steam engines, sneered Bowler. I haven't time to deal with your sordid affairs. I have real work to attend to. Goodbye and good riddance.
Without another word, Bowler coupled up to the train and rolled away into the mist. Osprey, still too tired to think, backed down to the water column for a long drink. When she returned to Tidmouth Sheds the next morning, the other engines were eager to hear her story. Osprey recounted the night's events, her voice calm, but her eyes betraying the lingering unease. So, do you believe in ghosts now? Percy asked, wide-eyed. Osprey hesitated, her gaze drifting toward the misty horizon. I believe, she said slowly, that there are some things on these iron rails we may never fully understand. The engines fell silent, their imaginations running wild. Outside, the fog began to lift, but the memory of the spectral engine lingered, a haunting reminder that the rails held secrets as old as the engines themselves.